Presentation for the day. So I've enjoyed teaching Ryan. He's always right up at the front, engaged, always gets good quality work written. And so it's been a good, I've had a lot of fun teaching Ryan. He says this: I would like to thank my parents and friends for supporting me all this time. I would also like to thank Ms. Beatrix for being my advisor and Mr. Wade for guiding me through the entire process. Lastly, I would like to thank God too, of course. All right, Ryan's title, he's another one that sort of has tried to look at AI in some way and in what ways it might benefit our world in the near future, and so, or maybe even some in the present. So Ryan's title is Siri, Save My Life: The Importance of AI-Powered IoT Systems in Healthcare. All right, I'll get the timer set up and I'll tell you when you can start. All right, you can start when ready.
Am I start? What if you walk into a hospital and there are no lines, no paperwork, no delays, but just seamless and quick healthcare? Let us try to paint the future of healthcare. You don't feel good. Our smart devices know that. So your smart device reminds you to book an appointment with a doctor. You accept a suggestion, and your smart device uploads your vital data to a secure cloud database. On the day of the appointment, your smart device reminds you, and you arrive at the hospital. Well, you can just walk straight into the doctor's office because you already have an appointment. The doctor also knows you're coming, and you get a summarized version of your electronic health record with all your complaints and stuff. The doctor prescribes you, and you're sent home. This scenario will be realized in the future of healthcare thanks to the technology powered by AI-powered IoT systems. This scenario will be realized, and traditional healthcare will become obsolete. Before we go into the future, let us go into the past first. The history of the Internet of Things, or IoT, was late in 1969, followed by embedded computers in 1974, and then the establishment of machine-to-machine communication protocols in 1983. It was not until 1984 in which the first usage of IoT was foreseen as a Coke vending machine that is connected to the internet to report their metrics. Another technology that will also be discussed is artificial intelligence, which you have already probably known. AI was first coined as a term by Alan Turing in the 1950s, inspired by his computational code cracking work during wartime. AI doesn't have any much development in the 70s, but its development continued quietly. It was not until the late 2010s in which AI started popular exponentially, thanks to several factors, which are larger computing power, larger funding, and also larger data sets. Groundbreaking innovations, just like the convolutional neural network, was foreseen, which is used for medical image processing. Today, the internet has rapidly expanded, reaching about 50 billion connections in 2020. About 50% of them are machine-to-machine connections. This fueled the rise of AI from the number of connected devices and data, but it is also proven by the surge of AI-related projects in code collaboration platform GitHub, and also the increase of the number of foundational models from 4 in 2019 to a staggering 149 4 years later. On the other side, IoT devices, which are equipped with sensors, capture and transmit data and then communicate via standard internet protocols. These IoT devices then work together with AI to make sure that we have intelligent automations that can be freely integrated with other workflows. This is why this issue is important enough for global attention. The AI-powered IoT systems will transform the landscape of healthcare globally, yet it still faces some critical challenges. So researchers must go like going through a house that's burning. They must move swiftly but carefully so that they can have a good implementation that is not hasty, which can harm people's life, but not also a delayed implementation so that we will be missing on the benefits on life-saving benefits. Despite the increase of the popularity of AI and IoT, these technologies are still in very early stages of their life cycle. So it must go through clinical trials, extensive research, and also revisions before becoming standardized globally. So researchers must be able to perfect these systems due to their implementation that is close to the healing of human life. Although the capabilities of this technology are becoming more prevalent to the general public must also realize, with healthcare providers as well, the implementation of this technology into healthcare is much more significant than it looks. In fact, there are actually several benefits that can be seen, such as an enhanced patient monitoring and care, increased hospital operational efficiency, and also the breakthrough of limits of medical research and technique development. Let's start from enhanced patient and monitoring. RPM, or remote patient monitoring, is a critical AI IoT application into healthcare. RPM allows medical professionals to go look into in real time on patients' real-time health data metrics without being in the same room as the patients themselves. That means that the patient's vital data is being streamed to a centralized location that the medical professionals can oversee all at once. This is already proven in a smart nursing home, where the system was installed and the nurses were able to monitor the patients remotely all at once so that they can work more efficiently by caring for the patients that actually need help according to their monitored state. The RPM can also be used for the pandemic to separate patients that is more critical and non-critical so that patients with non-critical symptoms can go home and be monitored remotely, while patients that has critical symptoms can go see their doctors immediately, and they can even see it even faster because hospitals are not congested with patients with non-critical symptoms. Another way AI and IoT can help enhance patient monitoring and care is by transitioning to a specialist-centric approach to a more patient-centric approach to treatment. A specialist-centric approach to treatment focuses on the expertise of medical personnel at the center of the medical treatment process. That means that there will be several consequences. For example, patients with multiple diseases will need to go from one outpatient clinic to the other, which means they will have long referral wait times, being prescribed redundant or unnecessary medicine, or even racking up hospital bills from visiting one clinic to the other. In contrast, the patient-centric approach to treatment places the patient themselves at the center of the treatment process. In that way, the patient's preferences are prioritized. The patients, which we see as people with differing backgrounds rather than people with just beings with symptoms to solve, means that the relationship between the healthcare provider and the patients allows for the patients to have a more active role in their healing process, which by research will mean that they will achieve overall better health outcome benefits. Lastly, utilizing the power of AI-powered IoT systems allows for predictive analytics for early intervention. Now, by utilizing the IoMT devices, we are able to get the vital data and other bioinformation of a person and then give it to an AI system that will be able to analyze the patient's overall care history and predict future development. And even in more severe conditions, they can be early intervene in case there is a problem. Consider this as an example. A man was visiting in Naharia, the Galilee Medical Center, in which he got his routine CT scans. Now, after he got his CT scans, he immediately left because he knows that the CT scans requires hours or even days to get his results due to manual human review. However, the hospital itself has recently installed an AI platform that was able to get a certain pattern within the man's CT scans and flagged it as suspiciously with a problem of intracranial bleeding. Now, the man was immediately recalled back and he got his operation, which saved his life. Had he waited for the CT scan results, he would be in more dire conditions or even dead. Now, from that situation, we know that if a declining patient state is not intervened, then the treatment required for the patients will be even more complex and so costly, which is both a burden for the hospital and the patient. The pressure on the medical staff also increases because the failure rate also increases as time passes. With AI and IoT technology, this problem is much more manageable. As we've seen previously, AI-powered IoT systems have helped patients with their healing process by enhancing their monitoring and care. But not only the patients that will be getting the benefits, of course, the hospital can also. An increase in hospital operational efficiency can be attained by using this technology as well. An example is an asset management system that is able to also be reinforced with AI and IoT that can be a key to this problem. Now, research has concluded that AI and IoT are able to enhance an existing hospital's asset management system. By applying RTLS, or real-time location systems, the hospital can effectively manage their hospital assets, such as wheelchairs and transfusion pumps, by tracking their location in real time, thereby reducing the amount of time spent searching for equipment. Now, not only to find equipment, AI-powered IoT systems can also prevent critical equipment failure from predicting when they will go on down. So, AI and IoT-powered systems will go through equipment logs and metrics to see if maintenance is required or when a new equipment should be bought. In that case, the hospital operational efficiency can be continued even more better because equipment downtime can be reduced. The next part that can increase our hospital operational efficiency is an integrated people flow solution. Now, a people flow solution is needed for hospitals. For example, in the case of the Santa Maria alle Scotte Hospital in Italy, the hospital is described as the paper as 208,000 square meters. That is an incredible amount of land area. Of course, that will be very hard to navigate for visitors, patients, and staff. So researchers installed an indoor positioning system, which means that which helps the patients, visitors, and staff go navigate towards the hospital campus with ease. This technology has been proven to relieve the burden of navigating such large campuses. Lastly, to increase a hospital operational efficiency, AI and IoT systems can help by introducing intelligent scheduling. In the heart of the hospital lies the OR, or the operating room. The operating room should have been as efficient as possible, of course. However, there is a certain problem. Once a patient finishes their surgery in the operating room, they will most likely be still under anesthetic state. So they have to be sent to the post-anesthesia care unit, or the PACU. The PACU is when the patients will recover from their anesthetic state. Now, there is a case where during peak times, for example, where patients will start to fill up the PACU to the point that there will be a PACU hold, since there's no available beds or medical staff to assist the patients. Now, the patients now will no longer be able to move from OR to the PACU. That will result in no more operations being available for the operating room, which should have been efficient as possible. An AI researcher applied a generalizable optimization and machine learning approach to sequence operating room procedures in a way that minimizes the delay from PACU unavailability. The results are also as expected. In the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital, Stanford, the PACU delays are even down by up to 76%, while still maintaining high OR utilization rate. Now, we've been talking about hospitals and patients. That is still the front line of healthcare. In the back line of healthcare, there's actually a lot of research efforts going on behind the scenes. One such large research effort is drug discovery. Drug discovery is a painfully long process and also costly. But AI can actually aid in drug discovery by employing large-scale analysis. AI can actually help by introducing a certain method. But before we go into that, we just know that the traditional drug discovery is painfully long because they have to match certain molecules to diseases, which can take long, and also to approve it into certain authorities to be distributed, which takes even longer. So the method that I said before is drug repurposing. Drug repurposing is a method of drug discovery by using pre-existing and pre-approved drugs that's already approved by authorities and finding new uses for them. AI can go through public drug data sets and go find drug-disease interactions that are new that we do not know already. In that way, we can use new drugs. We can use drugs that we already have before and go use new uses for them, can be both economical also for everyone. After a drug has been discovered, it doesn't get mass produced just yet. It has to go through past standards, as I said before, which takes a long time. But to pass such standards, we have to go to a clinical trial. A clinical trial is also problematic in a way because it has data-related limitations, extensive manual work, and sometimes inefficient patient recruitment and retention process. Now, AI can deal with this administrative task, of course. So we can free the burden from research teams. An example of AI doing this administrative task is going to a patient electronic health records to see some compatibility for the clinical trial so that the research team doesn't need to do all that. They can just focus on their core scientific work while AI deal with the administrative tasks. Lastly, regarding technique development, there's actually a lot of technique development going on behind the scenes as well. An advanced technique is actually being made more feasible thanks to AI and IoT technology. Now, the technique being mentioned here is gene editing, which has been popular recently. A popular method is CRISPR, which uses a guide RNA or a gRNA to move the CRISPR system into the specific part of the DNA where we want to do gene editing. But we won't get into the CRISPR things. We want to focus on the gRNA. The gRNA has to be made specific, but in this case, the specific is very, very specific because we know that the human genome has billions of unique base pairs. So it's hard to make a specific gRNA for that. AI does best here because it can make the gRNA with very high specificity by going to public genomic data sets. Now, there's actually a lot of security concerns and privacy concerns regarding the usage of AI and IoT when handling sensitive patient data. But we can also try to fight that with even more AI-powered security measures, such as real-time detections on the entire network, and also going through industry standard protocols, such as a zero-trust architecture, and also the usual updating your servers to make sure that they patch vulnerabilities. And I also believe that humans are actually worse than AI because humans may have hidden agenda, humans may have human errors, and they have inefficient work efficiency. There's also accountability and ethics concern regarding having the AI and IoT taking control over part of the healing process, which is traditionally left to doctors and nurses alike. Well, we can also solve that by making sure that there are regulatory communities that was able to test rigorously new AI models and IoT systems to make sure that they go through rigorous testing towards different demographics and make sure there is no bias or even any hallucinations. Making sure how AI works and to what extent it can do also is crucial by maintaining maximum transparency. This is done with explainable AI or XAI. XAI is a set of processes that we can do to make sure that we comprehend and trust the output of machine learning algorithms. For example, OpenAI has released their own models, which are chain of thought models. They are able to show their output and also their thinking process. So once we dive into the thinking process of AI models, we can see what's going on behind the scenes before we finally reach a final output, and we're able to trust the final output because of that. This is just one of the examples of XAI, and there's a lot, of course, other than that. So, what have we learned today? AI-powered IoT systems can enhance patient monitoring, increase hospital operational efficiency, and also break through the limits of medical research and technique development. This technology may seem very, very wild and very new to us all, but the benefits are already being seen and is starting to see recently. So as we step into the next era of technological advancement, what can we do? What we can do in this next era of technological advancement is try to educate ourselves regarding AI, how to use it properly, and how to embrace it in the future, since AI will definitely grow and grow over time. Medical providers can also start researching into the technique and development of this technology, and policymakers can start making the laws for this artificial intelligence so that we can get the trust of the masses. The implementation of AI and IoT isn't just another technological advancement. It is our commitment as humanity to achieve better care and preserve life. Life seems fleeting to many others, and we want to spend the lives with our loved ones, of course. So, by embracing the growth of the technology, we aim to make healthcare more accessible, personalized, and also more affordable for everyone, so that we can all experience the life that we wanted. Ultimately, the challenge is clear. Should we embrace this unknown yet unprecedented technology, or should we just ignore it and ignore the life-saving benefits which already is starting to be seen? Before we go step into the next era of technological advancement, let us just try to educate ourselves first. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Good job. Our panelists today are Mr. Christian and Mr. Tony. I'll let Mr. Tony go first.
Congratulations, Ryan. You did a very good one,
Thank you, Mr.
and you memorized everything,
Yeah.
it seems. Wow. Very good. Yeah, this is very interesting and could be life-changing, yeah? Saving lives, yeah? Very good. Now, let me ask you to clarify the scope first, yeah? You gave a couple instances in your paper about this IoT implementation in the healthcare. Besides what you have mentioned, is there any other things that you found but you don't have a room to say or to write that actually IoT have been implemented in the healthcare system? Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. The research that I've already done on the paper is already quite extensive, according to me. So I believe there's going to be more implementations as we speak now also, because the research is being done a couple of months back, and this technology grows even further, even by the time we talk right now. So I believe there will be more implementations even if I search about it. But for now, that is all the research I've done regarding the applications.
Yeah, specifically, I would like to ask if there is any robot implemented in the healthcare system.
For the robot, I think that there is, I think, probably an implementation. Recently, I've read, but it's only for a short while. There's a fully automated robot in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
But I didn't read much of it. I only see the heading. But I think robots can also get this technology, since the Internet of Things is freely connected to all smart devices.
Yeah. So since we know that robots is everywhere in different parts of the world, it's not a surprise if in hospital or somewhere like that we can see more robots to be implemented. Now, how far do you think AI and robot system should be implemented to the healthcare system?
I feel for now, since after analyzing the capabilities of AI and IoT, I believe that the scope of the robots and all smart devices, it should be limited to being just an assistive tool for physicians and no more than that. For example, like surgery, it's still not able to proceed to do surgery yet.
So only assisted tools. It's like another device. Another device that we can use.
Yeah.
And the doctor can use, or the whoever has the authority to use. Yeah, very good. So you are not saying that someday nurses can be replaced by robots?
No.
Why?
Because currently nurses does a lot of jobs, and their task is to care for patients, right? That still involves having the communication and some sort of a relationship, like with the patient, that is very hard to replace with robots. So nurses also have some technical expertise that also robots are hard to face. For example, dealing with several kinds of patients, it will be impossible for robots to do. For example, patients that are hard to deal with, robots can't do that. But nurses know how to deal with those kind of situations. It is out of the scope of a robot's capabilities.
Okay, so you are thinking that only assisting, yeah?
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the accuracy and error. With whatever field that you are saying, like making a new medicine or taking the data for monitoring someone, error can happen, right?
Yes.
Do you have any data how reliable is the AI system?
For now, I haven't researched on the specific percentage of error, for example, for drug discovery, I said. But I think the paper mentioned that there's a very high accuracy for it. So I don't think the error, even if error happens, is as an edge case also.
Okay. Now let's say this assistant, this smart assistant, heartless assistant help the doctor doing a certain surgery or whatever. Then the operation fail. Who will be responsible for the error?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. So currently, policymakers have not introduced a law in which in which artificial intelligence is within the law. But for now, I think we have a certain set standards for liability, which means that first, is the AI fully autonomous and is operating solely on the certain operation will be failed, or if the AI is, for example, if the fully autonomous one, so the AI is fully doing that specific mistake, which makes it fail, or is the physician also is doing part of the mistake as well that the AI was doing also. So if it's a shared liability, then both parties are at fault. But if it's a full autonomous liability of the AI, then the AI provider or the developer of the AI is at fault.
So you said earlier that the law is not very clear on that.
Yeah, we still don't have a clear law.
Law is too many times fall behind, yeah, the advancement, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So you have thought about that. Now the last one is about privacy. You said that one of the the argument that privacy is not really a big deal, perhaps, is that we can have another protocol searching the internet whatsoever if the data is stolen. Yeah, early warning before someone misuse the data, right?
Yes.
But let's say this very clever hacker wants to get the data because he or his group has a very specific idea and bad purpose. Let's say to eradicate a certain kind of ethnic group. Since all the data is not floating, stored somewhere, but it's not really secure, it's very easy to analyze and to try to harm certain kind of people. What is your comment?
Can you elaborate on like the data floating somewhere, Mr.? So where is it stored? Is it stored on the cloud or on premises, for example?
No, what I'm saying is if all the data is using IoT, so it is
Okay.
somewhere like in the cloud or on premise, it's okay, but it's taken and it's stored somewhere, and hacker can access this, right? But since the data is so overwhelmingly available, It's just the matter of the ability of hacker to access it and then do harm. That's my question. What do you say about that?
But Mr. also added that we try to build like a zero trust architecture network, Mr. So I believe that even how smart the hacker is, if they hijack, for example, like a machine in accounting, then we are still able to isolate the hacker's access because the hospital network system is being made into several segments thanks to the zero trust architecture system to always verify and never trust the connections. So basically, even if they have access to a certain computer within the network, they won't be able to just access just somewhere else and get like a certain patient's data because this is on the other side of like a network, Mr.
Okay, thank you. Well done. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Christian.
Hello, Ryan. Yeah,
Hello, sir.
you did quite a great job on your presentation. As Mr. Tony also said, I'm also quite impressed by the fact that you're barely even looking at your notes. Are you even looking at them?
There's none.
There's none?
Yes, sir.
Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Right. Let's see if that holds up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and begin with the questions now. Yeah. All right. Now, well, your emphasis here is on the Internet of Things system that is now supported by the AI-powered AI programs, right?
Yes.
Now, of course, if we're talking about the Internet of Things system, the main essence of it is that people from different departments or different areas can gain access to data and systems, or even machines from somewhere else, like maybe even all around the world, really. That's usually the utilization of it, especially in industry levels, right? But that does bring us back to the question, if we are to implement this kind of system, which parties will be given the access to the data of a patient? So let's say maybe a patient and the hospital that he perhaps frequents or gets checkups around. What are the limitations of the data access given here?
I think since again we are using the zero trust architecture, we're only allowing certain credentials for example, wait, Mr. So basically you're asking if a certain hospital wants to access a patient data from like a gathered storage location, what is the
Which parties are allowed to access this data? Does it only limit it to a certain region or a certain hospital, a certain group of hospitals, or maybe, for example, the relatives of the patient and so on? So what's the boundaries here? Because of course, you can't really share the data to just everyone, right?
Yeah. Okay. So currently, our hospitals also already store their patient electronic health records on their on-premises servers, and sometimes share their data also with, like for example, the BPJS service. So we're going to probably adopt a similar implementation where we have an on-premise server with all the patient electronic health records, and we only have certain credentials and also limit the scope of within the patient electronic health record for whatever purpose we're trying to send it to an external server, for example.
Okay, so still within, rigid protocols and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that answer. Right. So maybe to follow up on that end, right? The whole mechanism that you're proposing here does depend on the fact that, you're going to need devices that can monitor and detect and sense changes on a patient's condition, right? But, if we're being really honest, it's not really that accessible to everyone yet, right? For example, I personally don't have a smartwatch or anything that's even resembling that much of a smart device yet. I mean, the smartest that I have is the usual phone and maybe my laptop, right? So how can people like me, or maybe people that aren't really able to perhaps procure a smart device in their lifetime, can benefit from this?
Okay, thank you for your question, sir. Regarding that, regarding the remote monitoring aspect that I said before, I believe that this technology is, again, still very limited, as you say. So the boundaries of the technology is still limited to people with having the smart devices. But that we also we will proceed in like the technological advancement, and for the next future, I know that there will be some sort of an affordable solution if we commit to the deployment of this service. So, for example, we have like cheap phones with an absolutely killer camera, and that's also cheaper, like for example, an iPhone. When we will get to the point where there's a smartwatch with a remote monitoring capabilities that is affordable to the masses.
Okay, so it's quite optimistic for now, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's an appropriate take and a hopeful take of that. Yeah. Okay. Well, now, if you're talking about this kind of system, of course, ideally, we would like to implement it worldwide, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, do you think that maybe Indonesia is ready to even attempt to focus on this kind of development and implementation?
To be honest, Mr. I don't want to become a political or something, but
No,
Indo-
yeah. Oh,
Indonesia has a lot of problems that they have to solve. They have to improve their current architecture of their internet also, which is also hard because Indonesia's geographical state is very hard to expand like our network architecture through the entire country. So I think, and there's also like a lot of, Mr. in the government. So we have to solve a lot of that first before we continue even hoping for this technology in the future.
Can you elaborate about what I know about the government?
So,
I mean, you are allowed to say it. Like, it's not exactly a taboo to say it. Or maybe you can say it in a nicer way. That's
nice
also
corruption, sir.
fair enough, right? Yeah. I mean, if we list the challenges, there's a lot of it. Even in the terms of IoT itself, if we're being really honest, we're not even in the apa? We're not even near in that kind of implementation in most cases, especially even in the industries. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a fair argument for now. Yeah. But okay. Of course, there's also the other consideration. As usual with this kind of advancement in technology and ease of access, the comfortable usage of it and all that, then there always goes back to the same dilemma for anyone, which is about the cost, right? Now, if we're being really honest, the BPJS system in Indonesia is a little bit improved compared to the past, but it's not really that accommodating yet, especially if you look around the data and testimonies of people that have not really received their necessary care and medical attention. And if you really want to get the proper medical attention, inevitably you have to go the normal non-BPJS way, and that can be rather costly for anyone, no matter what the context is. And if we implement this kind of system, wouldn't that basically inflate the costs even more for the average person?
This is in Indonesia.
Indonesia, or maybe even just worldwide, maybe general.
But okay, so I'll just try worldwide because Indonesia is hopeless. Okay, so I already put in my third refutation that there's also some concerns regarding costs of the implementation of this technology, but then we have seen some researchers already tried to conduct like studies regarding it, and after a while of implementing this technology, the sacrifice is actually much necessary to improve like the hospital's operational efficiency, which I said before. It saves costs, and also if patients are happy because more patients are healing thanks to the technology, then it means there's going to be more patients visiting the hospital also. So that results in more revenue.
So perhaps it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. It's an investment.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that question. Maybe one more question from now for me. Okay. Now, again, well, your whole system here is one depending on the IoT system and also AI powered, right? AKA a program that is able to learn from a data input. But of course, if we're being really honest, even in terms of highly strict and scrutinized medical field, right? There's always the chance of some certain groups or certain people, certain individuals that manipulate the data, or they manipulate and change the data to the way that they want it because, well, they're trying to bring their own agenda. And we can have multiple examples about this, but maybe we don't have to mention them at the moment, right? So how can we be sure that this implementation of AI will not go haywire as to receive the bad data or the data that's not really peer-reviewed yet by the medical world and not end up causing or making conclusions that are wrong or are biased?
Okay, thank you for the question again. If I'm not wrong, there is a specific part of my thesis that also is tasked. I think it's regarding the refutatio too. Also, there is like the ethical accountability, the accountability of AI, and there's actually like a research that I found regarding like the ways to make sure that AI go pass through this ethical problem or accountability problem. By one of them is having a regulatory committee that we have in the medical world to make sure that we have the nice data sets that we can use as the training data for fine-tuning like AI models.
Also, the AI is not gathering data just from any random medical reports. Then.
No, medical world is very strict, so we need like standards for this, of course.
Okay, that's actually quite a welcoming answer. Yeah, good to hear. Do I have any?
We're actually out of time completely. I have several questions I was going to ask, but we're done. So good job, Ryan. We're finished. So here's what we'll do. We'll meet Ryan over here and friends and family and panelists for photos. And then tomorrow morning, we start right at 9 o'clock with
Denzel.
Regina, I think. Regina
Denzel.
and then Keenan.